the Canadian market has been going up, yes, but the U.S. market has also been iffy,
Mm-hmm.
and we're not immune in Canada. We don't
No.
have a dome. Welcome to another edition of our podcast series. We're in the winter months again. What's going on with the weather?
No, I don't know. It's
Los
Canada.
problemas.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my goodness.
Too many problems
Yeah, too
in
many
Canada,
problems
and
going
one of
on.
them, the weather. Can't even golf.
Can't catch a break
I
with this
know. I
weather.
know.
So jobs, 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 jobs,
Oh my
jobs.
goodness.
So TD, we
Mm-hmm.
glorified them last week.
That's right.
They did so well.
Yes.
And they did report profits, but
Mm-hmm.
they're cutting 2% of their workforce.
Yeah, so it's kind of a good news, bad news
Yeah.
type of situation. I mean, we've been looking at the banking sector as, good blue chip type of investment.
Mm-hmm.
If you're looking for dividends, that's the place to
That's where to
go.
go.
I love TD, even when they went through their anti-money laundering issues
Yeah.
in the US, where they were in cahoots with your words, scammers, not mine, right? You love the word scammers. And they had to pay 3 billion with a B
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
And their stock went from the
Triple.
high 80s
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
down to 78. And then you and I and our good friend behind the scene bought
TD
some
stocks.
TD stock at around
78.
78.
Mm-hmm.
And then now with the profits, they went to 93,
There you go.
right?
So for investors,
Mm-hmm,
we're happy.
mm-hmm.
And
But
that's
if
what their job is, to make investors happy.
yes, yes, yes,
But
no, you're right.
but
But
we also care about people and their
exactly,
jobs, right?
exactly, right? So their global workforce is about 101,000, and they cut about 2%, they say. So that's about 2,000 jobs. But
Yeah.
if there's a silver lining
Mhm.
is that most of those jobs will be what they deem to be through attrition. So
Okay.
that basically means if uh, people that are retiring, people that are quitting their job, they're just not replacing it.
Okay.
So the last resort would be to actually lay off an existing worker. So we're
Mhm.
hoping that that will minimize the impact on the employees
Okay.
at TD.
So so TD is laying off people.
Mm-hmm.
We saw Walmart is also
Mm.
going to do that for their global
Mhm.
workforce.
Mhm.
Canada Post might be laying off
Wow.
people.
Mhm.
And we also saw the report
Mhm.
that suggests that uh, TD, BMO, Deloitte,
Mhm.
National Bank,
Mhm.
together in a report,
Mhm.
or in that report, suggested
Mhm.
on BNN Bloomberg that they suggested that we could lose up to 100,000
Wow.
jobs.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
Scotiabank and what's the other bank? CIBC.
CIBC,
They're
yeah.
saying that we are not going to have that much loss, but we're going to still have an indication of negative growth,
Yeah,
but
not necessarily a recession,
not
right?
a recession,
Not a
not a, but
recession.
a
I
slowdown.
mean, I mean, for someone losing their job, the
Yeah,
technical definition of recession, or it's not a recession, really
yeah,
doesn't really matter to them. They just lost their job.
yeah,
There is a slowdown.
yeah.
The technical definition is that we've got 2 consecutive quarters of negative GDP growth. That basically means the economy for 6 months straight
Mm-hmm.
is going down
Yeah.
and negative. So though we're not going to meet that technical definition,
Mm-hmm.
but our economy is definitely slowing down, and tariffs will only magnify it. So,
Yeah.
to a point, I mean, some people were complaining about Martin, who went to the U.S. to
Mm-hmm.
combat Trump and to
Mm-hmm.
be
Mm-hmm.
forceful. And so they thought that, if they're going to charge, a dollar tariff to Canada, we got to reciprocate and charge a dollar tariff back. And he realizes that, by having these reciprocal tariffs will only hurt Canadians
Yeah.
as a result of that. And that will kind of accentuate the recession, because we're seeing, I mean, Stellantis, we're seeing Honda and all the car companies are cutting ships,
Yeah.
right, slowing down. So all this to say, if you got a job, you want to kind of buffer in, make sure that you're able to keep that job, because it looks like there's going to be some dark clouds ahead.
Yeah, and we do know that the stock market is usually an indicator, a leading indicator of what is to come. And we look at housing as well. That's usually lagging,
Yes.
right? But house prices have been trending.
No, actually, housing is usually also a leading,
Housing is leading.
leading
So
indicator.
prices
Housing
are also
starts.
slowing down. People are not buying as much. There's a lot of houses on the market for sale. Now, what this means is that if we're heading to this direction, we can prepare now, knowing that what is to come. So, talking with your financial advisors, talking with the team here, or your personal financial advisor, prepares you for what might come. So, what that conversation might look like.
So, I think the first thing is probably look at lowering debt.
Okay.
Right. So, probably not a good time
Yeah.
to accumulate debt. So, if you could reduce your debt, that's probably numero uno.
Yeah.
Then dos, for my Colombian friends on the side, dos, two, would probably make sure that you do have that emergency fund. Because as we talked
about that.
off camera, there is not necessarily job loss insurance, right? In Canada, the best thing that we have is EI, right? And EI is to a maximum of your income. You're never going to get the full. Last time I checked, I think it was about 55% of insurable earnings to a maximum about $455 a week, I believe. It may have gone higher, but that's not necessarily enough for for the average Canadian. So now's the time, just like the squirrels in the winter, they gather the nuts, right? And then they go on a hibernation. Now's the time to gather the nuts and put money aside for an emergency, just in case. If it doesn't happen, we still have that money. So we want to be a bit more safe and secure right now.
So what about those people who've got those big expenses that they can't avoid, the mortgages and the big car loans, the $50,000 car loan because you wanted a fancy car, right? Or they've got a high percentage of credit card, so they've got a lot of debt. What can they do to ensure that by the time this comes, and we're not saying that they're going to lose their job, if things slow down and they do get less shifts or they do lose their job, how can you protect them?
So probably looking at consolidation, right? If you can, that consolidation, again, it means you need to have a good credit score. So it's not available to all Canadians. But if you have if you've got a mortgage, you've got a great deal of credit card debts, if you have enough equity in your property, consider consolidating all your debt. 100%. What that will do is that it will also lower your monthly payments and increase your cash flow. And now with that increased cash flow, put some money aside.
A simple example of, as you said, you have equity in your home. You get that line of credit, which can be used for an emergency. But then using that line of credit to pay off those high interest debt can really help.
Definitely.
To bring down your expenses, and that's one of the things that I want to lead to talk to. Reducing your expenses now can mean that you have that enough money when the time comes in your emergency fund.
Exactly.
And one of the ways, I think, one of the best ways in Canada to reduce your expenses is by cutting your tax expenses in terms of avoiding the taxes you don't have to pay.
Yes.
All right. And that's by having your investments in a TFSA. Right. So opening a TFSA might be right now the time to do so, so that you can have the right selection in that TFSA, so that it can maybe, if you want, have that dividend income coming in, which can be that alternative source that you're looking for. Having those capital appreciation, those blue chip stocks that we
Yes.
mentioned,
Yeah.
that they will appreciate over time. And yes, they might go up and down, but generally in the long run, they do appreciate.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. So minimize all costs. Tax is a big one. I mean, we saw that we pay about 60 to 70% of our income directly or indirectly in taxes. So the TFSA is probably one tool, one easy tool that most Canadians could do. I mean, looking at, and I'm not immune, looking at your needs and wants, right? I don't need to golf every day. I want to, but I don't need to. So maybe that'll be one of the things that I'm gonna look at in terms of minimizing. And
because remember, if you golf every day,
oh God,
then you're
don't.
gonna have to go to the chiropractor for your knees.
Oh
So
yeah,
you don't want that. That's
I'm already there.
That's an added expense.
I'm already there,
right? That's an added expense, and you're tapping into your health
And
insurance.
my my chiropractor loves me, right? He's
Right.
probably building a new pool because of all my visits, right? As a result of
So
that.
cutting back on your expense also means cutting back on your visits to your chiropractor.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
At least you're saving on a bar.
Here's the thing that they say: health is wealth.
Yes, true.
Right?
Excellent.
Without your health, what do you have?
What do you have?
What you don't have anything. Yeah. So probably, right, beside all that financial stuff, take care of you. Take care of yourself,
yeah.
Right? So by eating right, which is getting more costlier, but in the long run, that might save you the trip to, to the hospital. And a lot of people say that, healthcare in Canada is free. Not necessarily. Not necessarily. It depends if if you've got prescription drugs, or if it's something that you've got an illness that's not covered by OHIP, you're basically on your own.
So there's nothing like a free breakfast.
No, a free lunch. I know you said free breakfast purposely because you always bring me a free breakfast. And that's one of the ways I personally cut down on my expenses, right? Diversify, have other people bring me coffee. I won't show the coffee that's right here.
That's what he thinks. But it's got 3 shots of sugar in there, and I'm getting him so he can leave, and I take over the team.
Take over. World domination.
But he doesn't know that.
World domination.
All right. So, but you said health is wealth, and that's so important. Also, if your financial situation is healthy, that also plays on your mental health
big time.
And once you're comfortable knowing that your financial situation is healthy, that's going to help you mentally, and that will keep you healthy as well.
Yeah. So having that buffer, right, and knowing what's coming ahead, right, that we are going to probably see some doom and gloom. So if you do have some extra money and you're looking at investing aside from the emergency fund, you're talking about that the stock market is kind of a leading indicator. Having said that, it's been positive in Canada, right? So that tells us Canada is doing well. U.S., so-so, right? But if we know that this is coming, then maybe we should go in terms of what I've dubbed, low beta stocks. So those are stocks that perform better in a downturn, right? As opposed to more aggressive high beta stocks like technology stocks. So I'll give you one kind of a low beta. Definitely the again, our favorite, the banks. But also think of it this way: if you have a job and you don't have a job, you still need to eat. Right. So groceries. Right. So grocery stores, utilities.
I have to shower.
No comment. No comment.
I walked into that one.
Right? You definitely did. Right? I know your water bill has been going down. Right? But yeah, so those so if you if you're still invested for the long term, you have extra money, so maybe look at the type of investments that will tend to do better in a low rate environment.
Right. That's 100%. And you did say, and I just want to wrap up with this, is that the Canadian market has been going up, yes, but the U.S. market has also been iffy, and we're not immune in Canada, we
No.
don't have a dome to
No.
protect us in Canada from the U.S. market. So if the
But
U.S.
don't-
goes
don't-
into a recession,
Yeah.
we're more likely going to go into a
Yeah.
recession too. So
Exactly.
we just have to be prepared.
Exactly. So one of the things they say, the U.S. sneezes, Canada catches a cold.
That's right.
Right. So we're definitely not it.
So if you don't
be
have
prepared.
a plan, or if you do have a plan and you want us to take a look at your plan, that's what we're here for. The TF team.
There's
The
no
people
I,
with a plan.
There's no I in team.
There's no I in team. We will look at it and we will help you. Thank you for watching today. We will, of course, be back with a future episode. And, of course, I hope that you like, subscribe, and share. Thank you for watching today, and take care.